Hey, what's going on? It's Matt. Welcome back to, well, this isn't specifically for my channel. This is an open letter to the NorCal Hiking page that I started. And I just kind of wanted to make this video. I have a YouTube channel, and I thought this might be the best way to kind of convey the vibe of this group that we've had for such a long time. But because of the pace that it's growing at such an exponential speed, we're kind of losing some things, and that's okay. I'm not trying to control anything. I'm just trying to keep it on a guided track. You know what a track is? Keeps things going in the same direction. So there's only so much I can do. There's only so much the moderators can do. And so one of the things that I kind of wanted to start off by doing in this video is talking about why this group was started. So this group was started April 22nd, 2020. I have been an active hiker for a very, very long time. I belong to a handful of Northern California hiking and backpacking groups. And what I had seen in those groups was just a level of distortion and, fuckery and just nastiness coming from like all angles. And there were like posts about things that weren't even hiking related. There were posts about things that were happening like overseas. There was a lot of political posts, obviously, because COVID had just kind of really kicked off. And there was a lot of like policing, not by the moderators of those pages or the admins of those pages, but by the group members. Like everybody became a mom and a dad and had some sort of lecture agenda is the best way I could probably put it. So one night, just kind of hanging out here, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to start a group. And there were a handful of people that I had just made an announcement on another page. Like, I'm going to go start a group if you want to deal with this crap. The admins and moderators obviously aren't paying attention. So I started NorCal Hiking. And within 24 hours, had like the 100 members that were kind of feeling the all same thing from the other page come over to this page. And now, almost a year later, we're at 23,000 people. And I'm grateful for that. I really, really am. But one of the things that I wanted to do when I started this group was to have it be a little bit different. And I think I've spoken about this in other posts where I wanted to do the photo of the month thing and the stickers, by the way, not my idea. Those were group members' ideas. It was just kind of this idea to kind of create this brand and this vibe where if you saw somebody walking down on a path one day and they had a NorCal sticker or patch or whatever, that you might have as well, it's a camaraderie. It's a talking point. It's a connection point. And so that's really kind of what a community is, right? It's these handfuls of talking and connection points to where even when you're out of the controlled environment, which would be NorCal hiking, those people can still connect and basically start up a conversation. And so what's happened recently is that because of the massive influx of people that we have coming onto the page, which is about 200 to 300 people a day, which is so insane to think about. But, I can't do these welcome emails all the time because it just gets annoying because it just looks like I'm trying to push something or whatever. And I don't want to get to that point. I'm going to try to cut them down to a week at a time, which will roughly average 1,600 new people, which is crazy to think about. So let me not get too far off track. So when I started this page, I started because I wanted to get away from the drama of the other pages. And it stayed that way for a very, very long time. And one of the ways that you do that is that you have not necessarily rules or guidelines that you put in the about section, which nobody obviously reads, but you have an inordinate amount of moderators, and which we do. We have 38. I'm looking to add more. DM me if you're interested. But my point in saying all this is that the reason why there's so many is because it makes lighter work for every one of those moderators. They don't have to be online. They don't have to do any of these things. And so, we're at this point now where so many people come in on a daily basis that they don't read the rules. They just kind of are let in. And so one of the things that I did when I started this group was I wanted people to come in with an informed question or a directive question, not an open-ended question such as, where should I go hike? Because that's where really the nastiness comes into play. So this is just an open letter to everybody who has an issue with doing their own research ahead of time. And when they get an answer from somebody in this group or myself saying, go look on AllTrails, we're not being mean about it and we're not being cruel about it. And we might razz you or make jokes because it's been going on so long in so many different groups. But I really encourage for people to do this here because AllTrails information, although it's not complete, it's going to give you better direction because it's going to tell you your skill set. I've already gone over this. Jesus. Skill set. It's going to tell you how far it is from your home. It's going to tell you how long it is, how easy it is, what you can see. It is just the best way to start off. And I think the problem really arises, not necessarily with me, but more or less our members and some of our other moderators, is that like, because this precedent has been set and it's been in place for a long time, when new people come in and like, where should I go hiking? This is why people came to this page in the first place, was because to get away from those questions. And so it infuriates some people. To me, I'm just kind of like, okay, here we go again. I just want to make this video because I want everybody to know is that like, we encourage you to ask questions. We encourage you to basically, say, where should I hike? I looked at these 3 things on AllTrails. This is the best thing. Has anybody been there? Our job as a group, as a collective, 23,000 as I'm talking right now, is to provide insight and color to the stuff that you learn online. Why do I encourage this? Why am I personally like this? Well, I'm a father of a young child, of a daughter. She's going to be 6 soon. And one of the things that I've always kind of found fascinating is that like, children will immediately say, I can't do this, or can you get this for me, or can you do something for me? And that's what the role of a child is, and a parent and child relationship should be. Parent provides, child asks. But the rule that I have in my house, and it's a general rule in life, is like, I want you to try on your own first. If you can't figure it out, then please come ask for help. And 9 times out of 10, that child, I'm talking specifically about mine, will figure it out, come in feeling more accomplished, the fact that she figured it out on herself, than of me being like, this is what you need to do, or this is how it's done. It's called independence, something that I think everybody craves in every aspect of life. So that's really kind of the foundation of who I am as a person. Now, look, I'm not from California. I do bash this state. I've lived here for 6 years now. I'm from the South and from the East Coast. So, spent a lot of time in New York City, and I grew up in Georgia. So maybe it's just the way that I was raised or the environment that I was raised in. Maybe it's my age. I'm 46, but I wasn't given things. I was told to go figure it out. And if you can't figure it out, or if you fall down, ask for help. I made a post yesterday, and I basically said, in the same vein of us telling people to use AllTrails, it is a protective measure. If you get on AllTrails, the app, and you download the pro version, if you get lost and you've downloaded the map, you can pace yourself back and get you out of any particular situation that you may be in, or at least have an idea of where you're going. I mean, before the internet, would you get into a car and drive across the country without having a map? No. Would you go into a dangerous environment or a dangerous situation without doing research if you didn't have Facebook or all this stuff? No. I think what's ended up happening is that like people just become so complacent that I'm just going to go and ask an open-ended question. And I mentioned this in the AllTrails video, and I won't link that anywhere, but it infuriates some people because some people, myself included, take a lot of pride in finding hidden gems, in finding places that not a lot of people are going or posting a lot of pictures on, because we crave that kind of adventure. And I think logically, when you have someone who's like myself, and you have someone who's on the other spectrum that says, where should I go? You're kind of like, you're missing the point of doing this whole process of hiking, of getting outside, of losing yourself. You're asking basically to be spoon-fed. And that really isn't what this community is about. Now, I don't encourage anyone to be nasty. I don't encourage anyone to tell people just to screw off. But if someone just writes back on your post, if you're one of these people that just wants to be told where to go, if someone writes AllTrails, don't get offended. And to the other members, don't fight somebody else's battle. Nobody needs support. From what I can see by the demographics on this page, 98% of us are over the age of 18. That means we're adults. That means we can take care of ourselves. We don't need lectures. We don't need people telling us to be nice. And we just don't need me specifically. I had someone tell me today that I was being mean. And I was like, I'm not being mean by telling someone to go to AllTrails. I'm telling them to do for yourself. We're here to help. after you've done some of the research. Now, look, that's not going to occur all the time, and I understand that. And I mentioned that earlier, that like the pace that this page is growing is astronomical, and I'm grateful for that. But I kind of wanted to make this video because there seems to be this overwhelming presence of like this AllTrails thing coming up over and over again, and I encourage the argument, but I just want to set some guidelines or some rules that I think should really occur. And I'm not talking about using AllTrails. I'm talking about the behavior that occurs. And I just kind of mentioned it before. If it's your post and you ask a question, where should I go? And you get a lot of AllTrails response, you won't get them from everybody. You'll get like some real responses to your questions. But what I would like for is people that are not the original poster not to get involved in that conversation. Act your age. Look, I'm guilty of it. Like, I'm totally guilty of it. I throw into the drama of not just this group, but of groups that I'm just a member of. And I get it. And, one thing that you need to know about me specifically is that I never get my feelings hurt, ever. There is a meme that goes around, you can never hurt my feelings because I used to hold the flashlight from my father. It's very true. I'm pretty tough emotionally and mentally and physically, I guess. I don't know. Physically sounds silly, but like emotionally, mentally, I'm pretty tough. Been through enough. Facebook isn't real to me in the sense that it's not a real environment. And so, which boggles my mind when people come in and ask an open-ended question. I'm a kayak fisherman. What kind of kayak should I buy? Oh, shit, I don't know. I'm a photographer. What kind of lens should I buy? I don't know. Figure it out. Do your research. Come back and asking me and say, have you floated in this kayak? Have you shot on this lens? Have you hiked this hike? What can you tell me? It's just one of these things that, like, as the page grows over and over again, I just want people to keep this in mind. We're going to fight. We're going to bicker. The main rules for this page is treat it like a bar. And if anybody who's watching this right now has ever bartended, you know the 2 rules of a bar, because I used to be a bartender. You don't talk about politics. You don't talk about religion. That stuff will just be immediately deleted. But keep the page about NorCal hiking. Don't show pictures from Sedona. Don't show pictures from Utah. Don't show pictures from the Grand Canyon. Great that you went there, but there's so many other groups on Facebook that will welcome that because it's a general hiking or backpacking group. So kind of just wanted to make this video because I don't want there to be a level of nastiness that goes on in this group that is not recoverable. And because I started this group, I feel some sort of responsibility to kind of keep that vibe going. So here's what my final ask. If you are not going to use AllTrails, that's okay. You're still allowed to ask the open-ended questions. If you're not on board with using AllTrails, if you want to argue the point why people should be able to ask open-ended questions, I'm going to ask you to leave the group. I'm not going to kick you out. I'm just not a child like that. But like, I don't want to see the continuous bickering going back and forth about, oh, you're rude for telling them to go to AllTrails. They're asking an honest question. And like I said, this has nothing to do with experience level. This has nothing to do with knowledge of the area. I'm not from here. I figured all this stuff out on my own. I go on some incredible hikes. Lastly, when it comes to posting, if you do not want to share the location, you do not have to. You do not have to be bullied into it. You should not be called names. I don't want to hear people saying, what's the point of this group if you're not going to share the location? Well, it's to share photos and share experiences, okay? You can only live vicariously so much through other people. You have to go out and do for yourself. I'd say 80% of the people in this group agree with me. Because when I post something about this stuff, the amount of likes, the amount of traction that post gets, I wish my YouTube videos would get that much traction, right? So anyway, I just wanted to make this. I am not an asshole unless you push me. I'm very cold, though, when it comes down to things. It might have to do with the way that I was raised. It might have to do where I was raised. But I don't pander, and I certainly don't cater. Kind of same meaning, but like I don't bow down to people being preachy. I just don't. Thank you again for the growth of this page. We're going to add more moderators. We're hopefully going to do some fun things once quarantine is over. I have intentions of doing a huge get-together and having kind of some fun with this stuff. So my name's Matt. You can always DM me. Goodbye.